It's fun because I'm looking right now at my kids who are also here, Claire, my daughter, and Michael, my son, and they're students at OU and in the business school. But you know, it's funny, when you get up to do this, you'd never know what you're going to say. And I've got that moment right now. In fact, as everybody has learned in their communications class, when you're up in front of people, they say if you're really nervous, imagine your audience in underwear. Well, I need to also thank Danny Hodge, because if I was nervous, and I am a little nervous, if you look right up there, he looks like he's in his underwear. So he really helped me out today to calm down just a little bit. Well, when I was asked to do this, I thought a lot about what kind of advice would I like to give in a very short period of time, and what would have been meaningful for me to hear and help me not make mistakes or help me before I start my journey. And frankly, your journey really starts today. Many things popped into my head as I do a lecture for Steve Long's energy management program. And part of that is topics that I chose that I put in a book. I wrote a book called Just Because You Can Doesn't Mean You Should. And it was really a book trying to help my children understand a way to be successful in life. And in that book, it contains kind of 80 pieces of advice or things that were significant to me. But in Steve's class, I talk about 10. Well, today, I picked 4 things to talk about, and I narrowed it down. And I will be very brief, unlike my lectures that can go on for a very long time. In fact, Dean Evans is very worried about how long I'm going to be up here. But I will be brief. First, live with an attitude of gratitude. This is from a man named Anthony Robbins from a book called Unlimited Power. This has been a very important part of my life as a philosophy. And I think it's such a big problem with America today. So many people focus on what they don't have versus what they do have. They focus on their blemishes, not their blessings. If you're having a hard time, I suggest making a list of everything that you're appreciative of and that you're grateful for. You'll be surprised just how long that list is. I'd like to tell you a quick story to make my point. It's a family example about my sister-in-law. You see, she was in a tough, a dark place. And I sat down and I asked her to make a list. Well, she did, and she wrote down just a few things. Well, I was very saddened by how small her list really was. So I sat down and made a huge list about her. She was very, very surprised by this. And then I asked her to do it again privately, and she did. And she hung it by her mirror to remind herself just how many great things she has going for her. That exercise made a real difference. You see, we have so much to be thankful for, but sometimes we just have to think about it. Oh, and by the way, one of the things at the top of my list is I have diabetes. But I only have diabetes. I challenge you to make your own list, and you'll have fun doing it. Live with an attitude of gratitude. Second, live every day with integrity. Integrity is not just a word, it's a way of life. It's everything, and you can't really understand that until you've been challenged. I've been challenged. I was an Enron executive, for goodness sakes. That's a challenge. I know and worked with people, over a dozen people that went to prison. In fact, I was the only guy on the executive committee to not be questioned by the FBI or the SEC. I spent a lot of time thinking about this. Why did I not get in trouble? I believe it's about doing the right thing when nobody's looking and doing it every day. Live every day with integrity. Third, get comfortable with change. This is such a big topic and everybody struggles with it. But you need to embrace change because it's coming Change not only happens, but it seems that its speed increases. The secret to really understanding change is in a little book called Who Moved My Cheese? I think it's a great example for everyone. Has anybody read this? Show of hands? Quite a few. That's good. Well, it's a #1 bestseller, and it's actually sold over 10 million copies. And it was written in 1998, but it's still popular today. And if you go to Barnes & Noble, a lot of times they're out. Well, it's a profound little book, and it's a 2-hour read. In fact, I've given over 100 of these away to friends and family. Many years ago, I also made my children read it, and it became a ritual in our family. That was until a couple of years ago. "We're not going to read it," they demanded one summer. This was kind of a big dad decision of what to do next. So I thought for a moment, and I said, "Okay, kids, if you can tell me the 4 lessons from this book, you can have the summer off." Much to my amazement, they did it. They get it. They know how to adapt in life when their cheese is moved. They may hate the cheese book now, but they get it. By the way, kids, you're going to read it again this summer. You see, change gets thrust upon you when you least expect it. I'd like to share my perspective on this. You see, I was a senior executive at a company that was voted by Fortune magazine as the most innovative company in America. Not once, not twice, but 7 years in a row. Now, it wasn't Google, and it wasn't Apple. It's Enron. The most innovative company for 7 straight years, and it was suddenly gone. Change was thrust upon me. In 2001, I was on top of the world until that December when everything changed. In a 90-day period, the company went down and filed for bankruptcy. And by the way, it was the largest bankruptcy in the history of the world. I lost my job. I was unemployed. I was unemployable. I lost all my retirement. I was being sued for everything I had left. Everyone I seemed to work with was either under investigation or being arrested. Everybody assumed that I was a bad guy. Just to top it off, I was hit with a tax bill. See, I had a great year starting off, and I got restricted stock at $80 a share. I was very excited about that until, of course, in December when I sold it for 20 cents. Unfortunately, I owed tax on $80. It was a pretty rough time, only to be topped off by one more event that under some circumstances would be fun. And that was my wife and I came home one afternoon, listened to our voicemails, and it was Good Morning America. They wanted me to come to New York and talk about and question me, what in the world was it like to work at Enron? That was a scary time. The good news is, since then, there have been so many positive changes, I can't even count them. And right now, I live in Austin, and I'm president of a neat company called Jones Energy. And the Jones family, they're a huge OU family and very supportive of the university, and it's a privilege to work with them and to be part of that organization. Change is part of life, and you better be ready for it. Read Who Moved My Cheese. Absorb what it's telling you about change and how you adapt to change, and it will help you lead a more successful life. All right, my last point, my 4th point, keep a journal. Your life is so interesting, why not write about it? This has been a real significant part of my life. I don't write in it daily, it's not a diary, but I do it quarterly or when I'm on an airplane or when I'm on vacation. You're going to go through good and bad times, and it's real easy to get stuck in the bad times. I learned a very valuable lesson while in London. I was reading in my journal at the time when I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I read about something that happened many years earlier. And as I was reading it, I could feel the pain that I was going through while writing this down. But it was funny. I could hardly even remember the topic I was writing about. It really wasn't a big thing in the scheme of things, and it taught me a very valuable lesson about perspective. I told you about the Enron downfall, but it was actually a very short period of time. It's only a couple of chapters in my journey in life, which is a very, very long story. You will go through tough times too. Hopefully not this difficult, but you know what? It could have been a lot worse. No one died. My family was healthy, and I learned a lot about perspective. Now I'm here in front of you, and this is going to be a very fun thing to write about in my journal. Oh, and by the way, my journal is over 300 pages long now. It's a fun thing to go back and look at. Okay, I'll take a breath and wrap this up. Dean Evans is very happy about that. Life is quite a journey, and I'm really excited to be here and see you guys today. My daughter Claire will be here 1 year from today, and I assure you I will not miss it. Please think about the 4 things that I brought up today. Oh, and one more quick comment. Carpe diem. Seize the day. It's so simple, but imagine what your life is like if you do that. Now, here at OU, being Sooners, we have another one that's the same. Play like a champion today. If you live like this, how can you not be successful? Well, I hope my ramblings made some sense. I'm just so honored and pumped to be here today in front of you. And by the way, congratulations. You guys have a business degree from OU. You've worked very hard for that, and it's yours forever. Well, thank you so much for the privilege to be part of your magical day, and I just hope that you have fond memories of this skinny guy up here talking. Good luck to each and every one of you, and I cannot wait to hear some of your stories of success. Have a great day.
Thank you, Michael. And I have to tell you that of the people I know that act from the perspective of an attitude of gratitude, Michael is among the very top. So we're very pleased that he was able to join us today. Another guy who has a tremendous attitude of gratitude is the student speaker today. I'm going to embarrass him a little bit. His name is Wade Brockway. Wade is a cancer survivor. Wade is a student who has given back in an amazing number of ways. He came to me 3 years ago and said, we would like, as a collective student body, to do a community service project for the Norman Public School area. And I would like Delta Sig Pi to be the core focus of coordinating that along with the other student organizations. It's now become very robust. And we had over 220 students, faculty, and staff participating in that event but a few weekends ago. We're going to miss Wade. He has been a good friend, a tremendous student, and I think a very, very, very real role model for every one of us in this room. So with that, Wade.
Thank you. It was very gracious, and now you just hope that what I say doesn't discredit that. All right. I had written something and submitted it yesterday, actually. This is really in my face. And in the event that happened yesterday caused me to completely change that. So I have an entirely new speech, and I'm sure Adam Clinton is very concerned right now, wherever he is, what is going to happen. But I'm only supposed to be up here for 3 minutes, so all my friends and family are probably checking their watch right now to see if this happens. 3 minutes isn't a very long time. Although I did learn yesterday in my Tax 2 exam, it's long enough to know that you're in trouble. Special occasion, receiving what we have worked so hard for the Price College of Business to formally tell us to go away, for the Alumni Association and Development Office to have free rein to start calling us and reminding us of how much fun we had and that it's time to give back. And we do all of that because today we finally reach that culmination of our studies and receive the degrees that we've invested in ourselves. What we have accomplished here today is a special feat. The US Census Bureau says that only 30% of all Americans will achieve what we have achieved today. For those of us that are getting our master's degrees, we now enter the top 10% of Americans in that level of education. And for those brave souls that go on to their doctorates, they're in the top 2% of all United States citizens. But even on this glorious day, I cannot refrain from reflecting on what happened yesterday in Newtown, Connecticut. 20 children were cheated of the very opportunity that we celebrate today. A principal that gave her life for her students was working on her doctorate program, and she'll never have the ability to walk across stage and shake her dean's hand and receive that. Whether you believe in religion or science or both or neither, events like that remind us that life is mysterious, perplexing, frustrating, and yet precious. With today's achievement, we bear a new responsibility of being good stewards of, to give back from, to never take for granted, and to always enjoy life. Today, it is our duty to celebrate this incredible opportunity and this accomplishment, because for so many, they can't. It's time to nicely reflect on how we have to treat our college friends the rest of our lives because of the stories that they know about us. It's also time to think about all of the opportunities that are in store for us in the future and what we still have to do. But most importantly, today, I think, is about stopping and remembering why we should appreciate and love now. What's happening around us, what's going on today. It's so easy to get lost in the past, and so easy to dream about the future, and to take for granted the very things that are happening in the present. My strategy to enjoy life is based around 4 simple concepts: to appreciate the small things, to laugh often, which I think I do well. I've had friends come around the corner in Price and said, "I knew you were in the building, I could hear you down the hall." To do my best, and to share your life with others. I found in my life that I'm most content when I keep these 4 things in balance. And I've also found a way to remind myself every day to do that. I got this gown today, and I put it on, and I don't know what this is for, but in my true accounting fashion, I found something to put in it because otherwise I paid for it, and I didn't use it, so here we go. See if I can get this guy out here. All right. This right here is a Superman who lost his cape somewhere along the way. I don't know the background there. That's how I got it. But my nephew gave it to me the day I started chemotherapy 3.5 years ago. And it still rides around in my car every single day. And it helps me remember that despite what may have happened in the past, our successes, our failures, how things might have been rough, how things may have been awesome, that's gone. It reminds me that we have no guarantees for the future. We can only make plans, but we don't know if we'll actually make it there. What we do have is now, and it is our responsibility to cherish that. As business students, we are, I think, innately successful. Maybe it's a little biased, but I think I'm successful. I think now we need to remember and enjoy everything that we have accomplished these past years in reaching where we are today. We need to remember the very different journeys that we took to get here. Some of us didn't have to work. Some of us worked all the time. Some of us had families. Some of us came here single and are leaving single, like me. But I'll be out tonight in case anyone is interested. One of my friends that I took an MBA class with is going back to the military, going back to the Army after we graduate, and I have so much respect for that because it is so incredibly different than what I'm doing. We all came here from a very different